dignitaries on the dais, Shri Anurag Thakur, Honorable Minister for Youth Affairs and Sports and Information and Broadcasting, Government of India, Dr. S.B. Muzumdar, Founder and President, Symbiosis, and Chancellor, Symbiosis International Deemed University, Dr. Sandeep Vaslekar, President of Strategic Foresight Group, Mr. Anmol Sovit, Chair, Y20 India, Dr. Pankaj Kumar Singh, Director, Department of Youth Affairs, Dr. Vidya Yaravdekar, Pro-Chancellor, Symbiosis, and Dr. Rajni Gupte, Vice Chancellor, Symbiosis International University. Respected dignitaries, speakers, delegates, invitees, and participants, we warmly welcome you all to the Y20 Consultation. We are delighted to be gathered here today to inaugurate this prestigious event. It is a matter of great pride for all Indians to hold the G20 Presidency. It is an excellent opportunity for India to regain its status as Vishwaguru, a teacher for all times. Symbiosis, which was established 51 years ago with the motto of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family, has dedicated itself to this spirit through its commitment to the nurturing of culture, respect for diversity, and quality education. Today, Symbiosis has over 45,000 students from all states of India and from over 85 countries. The theme of the G20 presidency, One Earth, One Family, One Future, therefore resonates deeply with all students and staff of Symbiosis. Y20 is a prestigious event under the G20 presidency organized by the host country every year and is an official consultation forum for youth from all G20 member countries to be able to raise awareness of global issues, exchange ideas, argue, negotiate, and reach consensus. The theme for our Y20 seminar is peace building and reconciliation, ushering in an era of no war, the philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The 6 sub-themes of the seminar are Vikas politics in India as an enabler in conflict resolution, climate action, gender-related conflict and reforms, education and legal reforms needed for social change. The second theme of the Youth 20 consultation is the future of work, Industry 4.0, innovation, and the 21st century skills. May I now request Dr. Vidya Yaravdekar, Pro-Chancellor, Symbiosis International University, to deliver the welcome address.
The Chief Guest for the Y20 consultation, Shri Anurag Thakurji, Honorable Minister for Youth Affairs and Sports and Information and Broadcasting, Government of India, our Chancellor, Dr. S.B. Muzumdar, sir, the person who's going to give the keynote address and is an alumnus of Symbiosis International University because a few years ago, he received the D.Lit from Symbiosis, and he's been Dr. Muzumdar's student also, Dr. Sandeep Vaslekar, who's an author of a book called The World Without Wars, which is very apt to the theme of this Y20 consultation, Mr. Sovit, Mr. Pankaj Singh, and our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Rajni Gupte, Mrs. Muzumdar. I can see dignitaries in the audience, Dr. Tutakne, Mr. Dara Damania, and several others, and my dear wonderful students, directors, faculty members, and special guests as speakers and as participants from G20 countries and even foreign students from non-G20 countries. So let me welcome you on behalf of Symbiosis International University to this magnificent campus spread over 350 acres, which is a home away from home for foreign students. Dr. Muzumdar sir will of course tell you the story of Symbiosis, and you've seen it in the presentation a few minutes ago. 50 years we've been striving towards establishing a theme that sir gave us 50 years ago, the theme of and philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And we are so happy that when Symbiosis International University was selected by your ministry, they gave us a theme of peace building and reconciliation, which is very close to our heart. Over the 1.5 days of discussions, which started yesterday was more of a cultural extravaganza, where foreign and Indian students performed so well on this very auditorium that it was a treat for every participant and every audience. Today, of course, as Amrita said, there are going to be discussions on various topics and themes. But let me tell you, sir, that for us at Symbiosis, the G20 discussions have now become a part of our academic discussions, almost one G20 consultation every month. In the month of January, on the anniversary of Symbiosis, we started off with a cultural program based on the theme of One Earth, One Family, One Future, a cultural program depicting this theme by foreign students and Indian students on the same stage. This was a wonderful program. And then in the month of February, we had a G20 Festival of Thinkers where very eminent speakers spoke about India's presidency of G20. The speakers included Mr. Narayan Murthy from Infosys, and of course, the External Affairs Minister, Sri Jaishankar, who brought in wonderful aspects of what G20 means to India. We also had other participants from Oman, Mr. Pankaj Khimji, as I told you on the way, and the Finance Minister of Bhutan. Yesterday, again, we had the Home Minister of Bhutan who came in and spoke on the Happiness Index. Again, something that is very close to the theme of the conference. In further months, we will be also having Mr. Harsh Shringla, the Chief Operating Officer of G20, coming in for a University Connect program. And then in the month of June, we will have the Vice Chancellor's Conference of G20 countries, which is Uni 20, which will be on the sidelines of the Education Ministers' meet happening in Pune. Why is this G20 so important to this university? Because we want to also convey to the young people, young students under the umbrella of Symbiosis, that India as a country getting the presidency of G20 is not just important for India, but it is important to the neighborhood of India and several countries who are developing and emerging economies. So while G20 consultations remain within the 20 countries, and of course a few European Union countries, but the impact is seen, as the Bhutan Home Minister yesterday said, on the neighborhood of these G20 countries as well. So whether it is consultations on trade, finance, infrastructure, education, or climate change, I think for students who may be studying in any discipline, this is very important. For you students who are sitting in the audience, I'm sure this is one of the most memorable days in your life. For you all to witness a function like this, to be a part of the consultation of the Y20, to convey your views and suggestions to the international debate or international deliberations that will happen in September in Delhi. I think this is something that this university has provided, and we must thank the minister and his ministry for providing us with this platform. So I'm sure over this one day, the discussions and deliberations that will take place in all the panels will go into the policy making of the discussions and deliberations at the G20 international deliberations that will happen in September. So with these few words, I welcome all of you, the delegates, the speakers, the participants, and of course, the dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. And I'm sure this will be an enriching day for each one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I now humbly request the dignitaries to join us for the lighting of the lamp. Thank you all. I request Dr. S.B. Muzumdar sir to felicitate Shri Anurag Thakur, Honorable Minister for Youth Affairs and Sports, and Information and Broadcasting, Government of India. May I also request Dr. S.B. Muzumdar to felicitate Dr. Sandeep Vaslekar. Thank you, sir. I request Dr. Vidya Iravdekar ma'am to felicitate Mr. Anmol Sovit, Chair, Y20 India. Thank you, ma'am. I request Dr. Rajni Gupte ma'am to felicitate Dr. Pankaj Kumar Singh, Director, Department of Youth Affairs. Thank you, ma'am. It is a Symbiosis tradition to welcome dignitaries to campus by international students offering the flags of their respective countries as a symbol of international brotherhood. Afghanistan, Australia, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Botswana, Brazil, Burundi, Cambodia, Chad, Ethiopia, France, the Gambia, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, Kenya, Lesotho, Madagascar, Maldives, Mauritius, Mexico, Nepal, Nigeria, Oman, Palestine, Russia, South Africa, South Korea, South Sudan, Spain, Sri Lanka, Sudan, Tanzania, Togo, Turkmenistan, United Kingdom, Uganda, United States of America, Yemen. May I now request Dr. Rajni Gupte ma'am to present the flag of Symbiosis International University. I now request Dr. S.B. Muzumdar sir to present the flag of the United Nations to our honorable chief guest. Thank you all. Thank you, students, for the beautiful presentation. This unity shows precisely what we at Symbiosis stand for. The world is one family. Dr. S.V. Muzumdar was a professor of botany in Ferguson College. Deeply touched by the hardships suffered by foreign students studying in India, he established Symbiosis in 1971 with a view to providing them with a home away from home. In recognition of his unique contribution to education and global citizenship, the Government of India conferred on him the Padma Shri in 2005 and the Padma Bhushan in 2012. I now invite Professor Dr. S.B. Muzumdar, founder and president Symbiosis and Chancellor Symbiosis International University, to address the gathering.
वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा. My dear students, please say namaste to our chief guest Anurag Thakur. Loud. Namaste. Louder. Thank you. The chief guest of this morning is Anurag Thakur, my friend and university's alumnus, Sandeepji Vaslekar, Amol Sovit, Pankaj Kumar Singh, Vidya Erodekar, Rajni Gupte, distinguished invitees, students from different parts of India and different parts of the world, I extend a very hearty welcome. Sir, your presence has given youthfulness to this function. I am really glad and happy that Government of India, also Government of Maharashtra, have given us an opportunity to host G20 Consultation. And this is very appropriate because G20 tagline is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which was also the motto of Symbiosis when it was established in 1971. The tagline further says that there is only one earth, one family, one future. And I would like to add, there is only one soul among all organisms on the planet. Be that as it may, Symbiosis was born in 1971 with the motto of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Anuragji, it would interest you to know that Symbiosis was not born as a university or a college. It was born out of compassion. A foreign student who was suffering from jaundice in Ferguson College Hostel inspired me to start a small organization which will bring foreign and Indian students together. It was not my intention to start university or colleges. We used to bring foreign and Indian students together on social and cultural occasions. But then we thought, perhaps I was a teacher, that education is the only medium to bring foreign and Indian students together in the hostel, in the classrooms, on the playground, and thereby promote international understanding between foreign and Indian students. And I'm very happy to tell you that during the last 50 years, thousands of international students have come out of the portals of university and occupying important positions in their respective countries. They are India's ambassadors of goodwill. And therefore, Symbiosis for the last 50 years is contributing to the Upanishadic concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We do believe that a day will come when nations with different boundaries will come together, live together, understand each other, and there will be no war in the world. Today, Mr. Vaslikar is going to speak a keynote address on world without war, and therefore I am not going to say anything about it. But suffice it for me to say that is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam a reality? Will it be a reality? Will it be a living truth? And Anuragji, for having spent 60 years in education, I do believe that Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is the ultimate human destiny. And therefore, we in Symbiosis try to translate the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam into reality through education. And I do believe that it is only through education. It is only through students and youth of the world that a day will come when politicians, when those who are engaged in war, conflicts, working against climate change, nuclear proliferation, will realize that humanity is one, world is one, And I do believe that one book, one pen, one child, one teacher will change the world. And therefore, our government, I am glad, our popular Prime Minister, benevolent Prime Minister, beloved Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, has taken the opportunity of getting G20 Presidency very seriously. We have students from different countries specially come to attend this function. And I am happy that our faculty, our non-teaching staff, under the leadership of Vidya and Vice Chancellor, have done extremely well in projecting the image of India. If someone asks me what India stands for, I will only say that it stands for Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And here I would like to end my speech with Sanskrit Upanishadic shloka. Ayam bandhurayam neti ganana laguchetasam udara charitanam to Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. He is mine or he is another's occurs only to the narrow minds. To the broad-minded person, the whole world is one family. And sir, you will be happy to know that in every auditorium of Symbiosis, we have written Udara Charitanam to Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And the word Udara Charitanam is more important. Those who have broad minds, those who have kind minds, consider world as one family. And who else than a teacher? What else than education can accomplish this important task? With these few words, Anuragji, I again thank you very much for sparing your time, coming all the way from Delhi, and I am sure young sports minister, youth affairs minister will ignite the minds of youngsters who are waiting for your delivery. Thank you so much.
Ayam bandhuryam neti ganara
लघुचेतसाम्
उदारचरितानं तु वसुधैव कुटुम्बकम्
वसुधैव कुटुम्बकम् वसुधैव कुटुम्बकम्
Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam.
Thank you, sir, for your words of wisdom. It is always an honor to hear your thoughts. Dr. Sandeep Vaslekar is president of the Strategic Foresight Group, a think tank based in India that advises governments and institutions around the world on managing future challenges. Under his leadership, SFG has worked with and on 50 countries from 4 continents, creating new policy concepts in conflict resolution, water diplomacy, and foresight for countries and society. He was active at the World Economic Forum annual meetings at Davos and a senior executive at the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance, Stockholm. Sir's recently published book on A World Without War touches upon multiple dimensions that impact global peace and is very relevant to the current theme of our Y20 consultation. I now invite Dr. Sandeep Vaslekar to deliver the keynote address.
Chancellor Sir Dr. Muzumdar, Honorable Minister for Youth Affairs, Anurag Thakurji, Pro-Chancellor Dr. Vidya Erodekar, Vice Chancellor Dr. Gupte, Mr. Pankaj Singh from the Ministry of Youth Affairs, other distinguished guests, ladies, gentlemen, and my friends. I want to congratulate Symbiosis International University and especially Dr. Vidya Yerodekar for convening this consultation on youth from G20 countries. Whenever I think of young people, whenever I see young people, whenever I see young people in action, when I see young people doing studies, I think of one word, and that one word is future. I genuinely feel that young people are about the future. And it's young people who will craft our future. And what happens to our planet, what happens to our country, what happens to our society will to a large extent depend upon how our young people think. And therefore, this youth consultation is extremely important. So it's not just a consultation for youth, it's a consultation on future. And Minister Anurag Thakurji, as a Minister of Youth, you are actually a Minister for Future. So you are a Minister for Future of this country. As the Chancellor mentioned, some time back, as some of you might be present, when my book, A World Without War, was launched. That was in November. Our External Affairs Minister, Dr. Jaishankar, invited me for a meeting soon after the book was launched. And when I met him in his office in South Block in Delhi, I asked him, I said, tell me frankly, do you think world without war is a utopian concept? Is it something feasible? And the response that our External Affairs Minister, Dr. Jaishankar, gave me is something I can never forget. He said, more and more nations are realizing that it is not in the interest of states to wage wars. And of course, he had Ukraine and other situations in mind, though he didn't specify them. And therefore, a world without war is not a utopian dream, it is a pragmatic necessity. And that's going to be my theme today. As I drove from Mumbai to Pune this morning, it took me 4 hours by car. And that also I started at 6 o'clock in the morning when there was no traffic. And it is a weekend and on expressway, and still it took me 4 hours. And I was looking at the sky, and yesterday the Russians detonated hypersonic missiles in Ukraine. And do you know how long it took for a hypersonic missile yesterday to travel the distance of Mumbai-Pune journey, which is about 220 kilometers. Can you all guess in your mind how long it would have taken for a hypersonic missile to travel the same distance that I took 4 hours by car? It took 1 minute. So that's the speed of hypersonic missiles. So our world is now going in 2 directions. There is one world of hypersonic missiles, nuclear bombs. Leaders like Putin and Biden and Xi, who are keen on perpetuating wars. Artificial intelligence, which can do so much for humanity, for the welfare of humanity, being used for weapons of mass destruction. New kinds of nuclear weapons being developed and deployed. And the risk that the next war, if it turns nuclear, could end human civilization in a matter of few hours. So it's taken 12,000 years for the civilization to evolve. It has taken 2 lakh years for Homo sapiens to grow from where it was born to the level we have reached today. And all of this can disappear in a matter of 12 hours or 20 hours. If we enter a war and it turns into, if we enter a global war and if it turns a nuclear war. And today we are not too far from that reality. You have turmoil in Ukraine, which can easily turn into a nuclear war. You have a situation in North Korea. You have a situation in Taiwan Strait. You have 3 hotspots in the world which can turn into a global nuclear war in the course of next year, next 5 years, or next 10 years, or next 20 years. And therefore, when you look at the future, when you craft future as young people of today, you have tremendous responsibility to how to ensure that the future world will be a peaceful world, a world where we can coexist, a world where there will be symbiosis. Symbiosis not only of different species, but symbiosis of different cultures, symbiosis of different kinds of communities, different countries. But we have reasons for hope. This is one word, and there is a other word, and the other word is the word of hope. Out of 193 countries, 23 countries have given up armies and they do not have defense ministries. Out of 193 countries, 23 countries in the world do not have any kind of armed forces. They do not have army, they do not have navy, they do not have air force, they do not have Ministry of Defense, and they do not have Minister of Defense. 23 countries is not a small number. And out of 193 countries, 123 countries passed a resolution in the United Nations in 2017 asking for abolition of all weapons of mass destruction, particularly nuclear weapons. So 123 countries out of 193 countries have signed a treaty for the total prohibition of nuclear weapons, TPNW. So one side you have a world where you have hypersonic missiles traveling at the rate of 1 minute from Mumbai to Pune. On the other side, you have a world where 23 countries have given up armies, 23 countries have given up militaries, and 123 countries have said no to nuclear weapons. Now, how do you combine this word? How do you live in the first word, and how do you also look at the reality and the hope of the second word, the word of peace, the word of hope? And there is only one answer to that, and only one philosophy that can do that, and that is the philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. If only we embrace the philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam all over the world, only then we will be able to reduce the hiatus between these two contradictions and create a word which is a word for all. As the motto of the G20 Summit this year, which is going to be held in India, says it will be a word of one earth and one family and one future. So it's the centrality of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam philosophy. Only that can save not just us as India or Asia, but only that can save the whole world. That can save the planet. And Dr. Muzumdar, there is absolutely no limit to how much we should express gratitude to you for thinking of this philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam 50 years ago and creating an outstanding institution and bringing together students from all over the world to make this philosophy a real living example in this city and in other cities wherever you have symbiosis campuses. But we need to take this message all over the world. And even UNESCO realizes this. If you read the preamble of the UNESCO, and I'm sure many of you must have read the preamble of the UNESCO, it says that it's in the minds of the men that war is made. And therefore, it is in the minds of the men that the defenses of the peace have to be constructed. And that can only be done through education. So therefore, the road of education to build a peaceful future is the road that you have shown to the world, and I hope that's a road that we will follow. We have a very dynamic and very respected Minister Anuragji Thakur to address us very soon. I don't want to stand too much between him and you, but there are a few thoughts I would like to share with you just in a couple of minutes, 5 minutes, about how do we construct the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Because Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is a philosophy, but how do you make it real? How do you bring it in life? One path is education, which Dr. Muzumdar has shown us, but otherwise, at a global level, how do you bring it in life? So, I would say that we have to look at this issue at different levels. The first level is the multilateral institutional level. We have to reform the global multilateral order. United Nations Security Council must be reformed. The government of India is campaigning for this reform. Many other countries in the world are campaigning for this reform. And people must stand behind all those governments which are campaigning for the reform of the United Nations Security Council. And this reform of the United Nations Security Council not only means that the new structure of the Security Council has to be democratic, not just reflecting the realities of 1945, but a structure that will reflect the realities of our century, of 2025, or even 2125. And it must give space to countries like India, Brazil, South Africa, and others. But we must also reform the United Nations from many other perspectives. Currently, veto has become, in the UN Security Council, an obstacle rather than an instrument of peace. Each time any effort is made to promote reconciliation, to resolve conflict, somebody uses a veto and stops an agreement. So there must be a revision of the veto system. There must be rethinking of the veto system of the UN. And even common people must demand that. You might think there is some ambassador sitting in the UN, he might do whatever he has to do. No, that's not the case. There should be a people's movement, there should be a public demand to reconsider veto and to stop the abuse of veto in the UN Security Council to create obstacles in the path of peace. There should be also revision of the structure of the United Nations. United Nations organization has become United Governments Organization. You only have ambassador, extraordinaries, plenipotentiaries, etc., sitting in New York. There is no direct representation of people in the UN. It's only the representation of states, representation of the governments which is there. So just like in India, we have two houses of parliament. Upper house, which is the representation of the states, and the lower house, Lok Sabha, which is the representation of people. In the United Nations also, there should be two houses. The General Assembly, which is the representation of the states, and the Parliament of Humanity, which is the representation of people. Minister, you are the Minister of Future. And for the future of the world, you should make a demand in the next cabinet meeting that India should work for creating a Parliament of Humanity in the United Nations. So the United Nations should be restructured not only to make Security Council democratic, but also to establish a Parliament of Humanity. And there should be a strong conflict resolution mechanism to bring justice to the conflicts where superpowers are involved. Currently, United Nations Security Council only gets involved when South Sudan is involved, when Mozambique is involved, when Jordan is involved, when Israel-Palestine are having conflict. But if there is a conflict between US and Russia, UN Security Council does nothing. Tomorrow there will be a conflict between US and China, UN Security Council will do nothing. So you need a conflict resolution mechanism to intervene when superpowers are involved. So we need very fundamental restructuring of the United Nations if you want to bring about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam at the institutional level. Second, from institutional level, we have to go to the political level. We need politics of peace. We need politics of positivity. We need politics of conciliation. And the minister has been in politics in parliament for 20 years now, I think almost. So you know the benefits of politics of peace and politics of positivity, and that's the politics that we must advocate. And finally, we need a change at the philosophical level. And here again I come to Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that's the philosophy we have to advocate. But we have to be aware that there are similar philosophies in other parts of the world. And they are not in the West, they are in the East. In Japan, there is a philosophy called Chikyu Kunzu Mishugi. It's difficult to pronounce. You can check on the net. In Africa, there is a philosophy called Ubuntu. They all mean the same. They all mean the word is mine, the word is family. I am because the word is here. That's what Ubuntu means. I am because we are. So we have to embrace the philosophy of Ubuntu. We have to embrace the philosophy of Chikyu Minzo Kushugi. We have to embrace the philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And if we embrace this philosophy, if we bring about institutional changes, if we bring about political changes, if we play positive politics, if we bring about philosophical changes, this world will live for thousands and thousands of years and will not disappear in the next globe war, whatever may be the speed of hypersonic missiles. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. It is always very exciting to hear your thoughts on global peace. Mr. Anurag Singh Thakur is the Union Minister for Youth Affairs and Sports and Information and Broadcasting, Government of India. He is a four-time elected member of the Indian Parliament from Hamirpur, Himachal Pradesh. Within Parliament, he has served as chairman of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on IT and member of Public Accounts Committee. During the 16th Lok Sabha, he was appointed as a Chief Whip Lok Sabha, becoming the youngest to assume the post. It is an honor to be in the presence of our chief guest. May I now request you, sir, to kindly address the gathering.
Dr. S.P. Majumdar, founder and president of Symbiosis and Chancellor, Symbiosis International Deemed University. Dr. Vidya, Pro Vice Chancellor, Symbiosis, and Chancellor, Symbiosis International Deemed University. Dr. Sandeep Vaslekarji, President of Strategic Foresight Group. Mr. Pankaj Singh, Director, Department of Youth Affairs. Mr. Anmol Sovich, Chair, Y20 India. Dr. Rajni Gupta ji, Vice Chancellor, Symbiosis. Youth representatives, entrepreneurs, delegates, and friends from media. Namaskar, a very good morning to all of you. I'm delighted to be here in Pune, a city known for its thriving manufacturing industry that is home to some of the world's largest automobile, engineering, and electronic companies. Moreover, Pune's reputation as the cultural capital of Maharashtra and a leading education hub cannot be overstated. And I'm glad to say that we have representation of more than 44 countries, and we have 97 students from those 44 countries present here. Let us put our hands together and welcome them here. And we also have the winner of 36 such events happened across Maharashtra, 72 students from various parts of Maharashtra who have come here. I welcome you all and thank you for being here. So with over 10 universities and 100 institutes, this city has been a beacon of knowledge and culture for generations, attracting students and scholars from around the world. Being here among the enthusiastic, creative, and talented youth fills me with a sense of pride and joy. Institutions like Symbiosis, whose foundation is laid by Dr. Majumdar. So institutions like these, which are providing quality educations to thousands and thousands of students from across the country and from across the globe, There couldn't be a better place to organize this event in this part of the country. Thank you, Vidyaji, for allowing us and you being the host for this Y20 event. So institutions like Symbiosis are one of the finest in the country, which sows the seeds of change and also nurture. To all the youth who are present here today, I'm not going to call you what Sandeepji has said, the future of tomorrow. Young people are equal stakeholders in the present. You are the builders of better tomorrow. Your role is today, now and here. And look around you. Today, India is making headlines across the world for being the world's fastest growing, largest economy. And look back at 2014, where India was rated among the fragile 5 economies of the world, from fragile 5 to first 5 economies of the world. From ranking third globally in terms of startups, with over 77,000 startups and more than 107 unicorns today. I still remember when Prime Minister Modi called me and Nirmala ji when I was Minister of State for Finance and said, we have to help these youngsters who have started these startups, whether with the incentives to the ease of doing business and others. Look at the vision of Prime Minister Modi and the hard work of our youth. In just a span of 8 years, India has become the third largest startup ecosystem in the world today. From being the first responder to a humanitarian crisis anywhere in the world, I still remember when Sushma ji started the mother thing. It was for the NRIs who lived overseas, how they can be helped. But if you look back, few years back, India was a recipient. मदद मांगने वालों में से था, आज भारत मदद देने वालों में बन गया है, ये बड़ा अंतर आया है. If you look at the crisis in Nepal, earthquake crisis, or if you look at the crisis in Turkey or Syria, India was the first responder. That is the change we see today. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, Dr. Majumdar, has rightly selected the motto for this educational institute. Sandeep ji was saying how we can fulfill this Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam issue. Sandeep ji, I mean, if you look at the crisis which the humanity, especially our generation, has faced in the last couple of years, the COVID-19 pandemic, even when the developed countries shirked away from their responsibilities and they was not ready to come forward and help, it was India. On one hand, we have administered more than 2.2 billion vaccines free of cost in India. At the same time, provided medicines and vaccine to more than 150 countries across the world. So, from humanitarian crisis to the crisis, at one time we were the second largest importer of the mobile phones, and today we can proudly say in 5 years, India has become the second largest manufacturers of the mobile phones in the world. For having the largest number of female commercial pilots in the world, for providing free food to more than 800 million Indians in the last 2.5 years, for its ambitious climate actions, energy transition efforts and use of renewables, for attracting huge foreign direct investment from 162 countries across 61 sectors, for its citizens and diaspora heading global Fortune 500 companies. This is all about where India is making news. For its healthcare innovations, wellness measures, spirituality, yoga and Ayush, for its phenomenal films, the way RRR is making news, regional content, which is no more regional, it has become global today. That is the power of films in India now and the power of Indian film content. Rich music, wholesome culture. The world is looking at us with great admiration, aspiration, and anticipation. The world is wondering what is this powerhouse of more than 700 million youth will achieve next. Whether it is the social media led social causes or $1 billion startups, India's youth is leading from the front. The path breaking stories of Indian youth serves an inspiration to people all over the world to follow their passions and make a positive impact in their respective fields. India's hosting of this prestigious G20, it's a great honor for us to have the G20 Presidency, and it's a privilege for me and my department also to host the prestigious Y20 Summit as well. This presents an extraordinary opportunity to engage the collective efforts of the world's youth on issues and concerns that matter to them the most. The Y20 Summit provides a unique platform for a young mind to share their vision, values, and ideas and collectively develop solutions and recommendations that will be submitted to the G20 leadership. India's role in this summit is not limited to speaking, it also aims to provide a space for youth to be heard and participate actively in shaping the global agenda. And for that, the Y20 Summit 2023 has identified 5 key themes that will serve as guiding light for our youth. These themes have been carefully selected to empower young people to create, collaborate, and contribute to the G20's development agenda and the global community as a whole. These priority areas of the Y20 Summit point to the urgency with which this world has to reconcile with the reality of the changing times in our quest to survive and thrive. Today's consultation is centered on the theme Peace Building and Reconciliation, ushering in an era of no war. Dr. Sandeep ji has already given his words of wisdom, thrown some light on that topic. There are many ways in which you can view this. The lens you apply and the vantage point from which you view this issue will determine how India responds in the decades ahead. These themes hold great significance when the world is currently grappling with complex challenges, whether it is the ongoing conflict between two countries in one part of the world, the far-reaching impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, the recent offensive by the Taliban in 2021, or the persistent political and economic instability. These issues has raised concerns about regional and global security and highlight the urgent need for effective collaboration and coordinated action to address these pressing issues. Now, while talking, Dr. Sandeep talked about multilateralism. Well, Dr. Saab, on one hand, at WTO, when we see this multilateralism is, nobody is supporting that cause in a big way, the big developed countries who have taken the advantage of it for last so many years. You rightly touched upon that point. Especially this post-COVID-19 pandemic era, we really need to talk about these institutions, multilateral approach as well, and how this could be more useful to the globe, not for few countries. That is very, very important. And the need for peace and reconciliation has never been more apparent as we strive towards a world where warfare is no longer a viable choice. India has been a believer in a culture that promotes dialogue, development, and diplomacy. And even When two countries are at war, Prime Minister Modi very categorically said, this is not the time for war. Diplomacy, discussion, and dialogue is the way forward. And that is the way forward. And that is the message from India. And India's diplomatic approach, rooted in the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, or the world is one family, is characterized by ahimsa. Diplomacy and diplomatic outreach has broken away from the shackles of the Cold War era. Today, India decides the position of its national interest. It speaks eye to eye and negotiates from a position of strength. मैं कई बार देखता हूँ मीडिया में कुछ लोग कहते हैं कि वो बड़ा देश का दबाव होगा तो ऐसा हो रहा है. वो समय चला गया. अब ना भारत आंखें झुकाकर बात करता है, ना आंखें उठाकर बात करता है. भारत आंखों में आंखें मिलाकर बात करता है. दुनिया का कोई भी देश हो, कोई भी विषय हो, ये नए भारत में ये भारत का नया नेतृत्व जो आपके एक एक वोट के कारण मिला है, ये नए भारत को एक सशक्त भारत बना रहा है. और इस अमृत काल की यात्रा में मैं कह सकता हूं, हम अमृत काल से स्वर्णिम काल की ओर जा रहे हैं. उसमें आपकी भागीदारी सबसे ज्यादा सुनिश्चित करनी जरूरी है. Further, India has played an active role in promoting peace and reconciliation on the global stage. We have been a strong advocate for disarmament and non-proliferation and have contributed to the UN peacekeeping efforts around the world. The future of the world depends on our actions today, and therefore, it is important to reflect on questions that define peace in the 21st century. We must also break away from the traditional notions of peace and war. There continues to be a physical or traditional warfare, aided by tanks, air missiles, and drones. And one of the hypersonic missiles you talked about, I'll go beyond that, Dr. Saab. There is also an information warfare. In the age of an infodemic where technology is both enabler but also divisive as well as intrusive. There is also noise and clutter, which is leading to a war within our bodies and an unhealthy lifestyle leading loss of mental peace. And that is the most important part. Mental peace is very, very important. Me and Dr. Vidya were talking about the mental health issue on the way, that post-COVID, how mental health issue is becoming such an important topic today across the world. But at the same time, when we talk about the mental peace, it can be from an individual where you have a mental peace to a family peace, society peace, state peace, to the global peace. So it starts with the peace of, with the mental peace it will start. And with this age of infodemic, why I'm saying age of infodemic, because more than pandemic, it was infodemic. Because spreading of lies, misinformation and all led to loss of thousands and thousands of lives across the world. So at times we have to see whether the technology is an enabler or it is doing harm to us if we are not using it in the right way. So I would like to leave you with few thoughts. Is the absence of a border-related war the true meaning of era of peace, or is there more to it? How will we tackle the war of words on social media, the noise, the clutter that is disrupting our social media space? In fact, is the nature of the platform such that it feeds these algorithms such content when posted? How will you meet the challenges faced by lifestyle choices that have unleashed a war on your health? How will you reclaim your peace, space, and sense of happiness in an age where we are constantly connected and even disrupted by the technology? How will we respond to global emergencies? Will we beat the repercussions of climate change and food scarcity on a war footing? As we look to land on the moon again and Mars one day, how will we as civilization respond to injustice beyond our borders on this planet? Will we look away to find peace or promote the values we believe in? Is peace just a symbol? Is it the absence of violence? And what makes a society, community, and nation peaceful? I leave you with these questions with the hope that further discussions and active involvement of the young minds present here, you will arrive at a deeper understanding of the challenges we face as a society, as a humanity, and the ways to resolve them at the Y20 Discussions Forum. Going beyond the topic of today's topic, I'll just take 2-3 more minutes because India is also celebrating the 75 years of independence, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. And Prime Minister Modi has talked about the 5 resolves during his 15th August speech from the Red Fort. मैं तो आपको केवल याद करवाने आया हूं कि अमृतकाल में हमारे युवाओं की भूमिका भी क्या है, और विशेष तौर पर हिंदी में इसीलिए इसको बोल रहा हूं क्योंकि आपसे जुड़ा हुआ है। और जब मैंने कहा कि आप वर्तमान भी हैं, भविष्य को गढ़ने वाले भी आप ही हैं, तो अमृत महोत्सव मनाते हुए पंच प्रण को याद करना बहुत आवश्यक है, क्योंकि पहला प्रण विकसित भारत के निर्माण का है। हमें भारत को विकसित भारत बनाना है। दूसरा प्रण अपने गौरवशाली इतिहास पर गर्व करना है, अपने गौरवशाली विरासत को बचाना और आगे बढ़ाना है, अपनी कला, संस्कृति, साहित्य को दुनिया भर से जोड़ना, उनको दिखाने का काम भी करना है। आस्था के केंद्रों के साथ साथ आधारभूत ढांचा बनाकर अर्थव्यवस्था के केंद्र भी बनाना है। तीसरा, गुलामी की सोच, उस मानसिकता से बाहर निकलना है। 75 वर्ष हो गए आजाद हुए, गुलामी की मानसिकता के साथ आगे नहीं बढ़ पाएंगे। नई सोच इस नए भारत को एक विकसित और सशक्त भारत बनाने में बहुत लाभदायक सिद्ध होगी। चौथा प्रण एकता और एकजुटता। हम अलग अलग जाति, धर्म, संप्रदाय के अलग अलग भाषाओं को बोलने वाले लोग हैं, लेकिन विविधता में एकता ही इस भारत की सबसे बड़ी ताकत है। और मैं चाहता हूं इस एकता और एकजुटता को बनाए रखने के लिए आज के युवा को मिलजुल कर आगे आना होगा। और पांचवां प्रण, हर नागरिक को अपना कर्तव्य पालन करना। अगर कोई भी ऐसा क्षेत्र जहां बदलाव देखना चाहते हैं, तो बदलाव का शुरुआत आपसे क्यों ना हो। अगर हम चाहते हैं शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में बदलाव हो, तो क्यों ना आप अपने जीवन के अगले 25 वर्ष उस विषय को समर्पित करें जहां पर आप बदलाव देखना चाहते हैं। पर्यावरण में बदलाव देखना चाहते हैं, पानी के संरक्षण में बदलाव देखना चाहते हैं, स्वास्थ्य के क्षेत्र में बदलाव देखना चाहते हैं। जैसे एक छोटी सी सोच देखने में छोटी लगती है, लेकिन डॉक्टर मजूमदार को लगा कि दुनिया के किसी हिस्से से एक व्यक्ति आया, जॉन्डिस भारत में हुआ, जो सरकार को देखने का, यूनिवर्सिटी को, फर्गुसन कॉलेज को देखने का काम था, उसके बजाय एक दूरदृष्टि वाले व्यक्ति ने उसको देखा और एक ऐसी ग्रुप का गठन, एक सोसाइटी का गठन किया, एक ऐसा पौधा लगाया जिसके पीछे सोच एक ईमानदारी वाली थी, एक वासुदेव कुटुंब वाली सोच थी। तो आज वो पौधा वट वृक्ष के रूप में बनकर खड़ा हुआ है। तो कहीं ना कहीं आप भी अपना नागरिकों का कर्तव्य पालन करते हुए किसी एक क्षेत्र में जब आप काम करेंगे, तो आप देखिए, आप 25 वर्षों में देखेंगे बहुत बड़ा बदलाव आएगा। और अगर 140 करोड़ भारतीयों में अगर मैं 70 करोड़ युवाओं की बात कर रहा हूं और अमृत काल से स्वर्णिम काल की इस यात्रा की बात कर रहा हूं, तो आपकी भागीदारी के बिना वो अधूरी है। ये देश हमारा है, हम सबको जान से प्यारा है। हम लोग बात तो करते हैं बलिदान देने वालों की, बलिदान बहुत सारे नौजवानों ने दे दिया, देश के लिए शहीद हो गए, फांसी के फंदे भी चूम लिए, गोली भी खा ली। लेकिन उनका बलिदान व्यर्थ नहीं जाना चाहिए। आपको बलिदान देने की जरूरत नहीं, आप अपना योगदान देने के लिए तैयार हो जाइए। आपका योगदान ही देश के लिए बहुत होगा। और मैं आशा करता हूं ये योगदान बहुत पीसफुल सोसाइटी को बनाकर, हम जिस सोच को लेकर आगे बढ़े हैं उसको आगे बढ़ाते हुए अपने भारत को आगे लेकर जाएंगे। और जो स्वामी विवेकानंद जी का सपना था कि 21वीं शताब्दी भारत की हो, मैं जैसे जैसे एक एक करके, कहते ना आपकी आंखों के आगे से पर्दे हट रहे हैं एक एक करके, पिछले कुछ वर्षों में जितनी तेजी से बदलाव होते हुए देखा है, केवल अर्थव्यवस्था की दृष्टि से नहीं, पूरी दुनिया में भारत के नेतृत्व को मानने की जो एक शुरुआत हुई है, आज दुनिया भारत की ओर एक उम्मीद के रूप में देख रही है। वर्ल्ड सी होप इन इंडिया, इन इंडिया's leadership today. So we have to live up to the expectations, and I'm sure the youth of today is ready to deliver, ready to contribute, and to make India a global powerhouse today. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you very much, sir. It was an absolute pleasure to hear you. The Honorable Minister will now conduct his youth dialogue, Yuva Sawad, Yuva Mantri ke saath. Sir, we have many of our students who have written to us with their questions. We have selected a few questions and those students are in the audience. So can we take those questions now? There's a mic. Can we have Aparna from Symbiosis Law School? Can we request you to please stand up?
During the COVID-19 lockdown, there has been a drastic shift towards social media platforms. So my question is, what measures can we take to combat this digital harm, since there are online exploitation, harmful content, and fake news and misinformation that are prone by the young people?
We can take 3-4 questions at one go and I'll reply.
Okay. The next is Yasin from Sudan.
Good afternoon, sir. Myself, Yasin Adam, international student from Symbiosis Institute of Technology. So, sir, my question is, as a young international students who take loans to study abroad or to come on a partial scholarship, getting a short-term work visa is a very important. It is a big reason why students are attracted to countries like USA, UK, and Australia, etc. Is there anything that you are planning to do to take care of this limitation? Thank you.
So should we take 3 questions at a time? Okay. The next is Prajwal Upadhyay. Next is Jerin and Prarthana. Can you all be ready?
Good afternoon, sir. My first question is, in these post-COVID times, what initiatives is the government taking to support the higher education and career prospects of the youth who have been adversely affected by the pandemic? And I have one more question, if you allow me so. With increasing mental health concerns among the youth, what steps is the government taking to promote mental health awareness and support for the youth?
Jerin is ready.
Hello, sir. I'm an international student from Turkmenistan. Sir, we are happy that the Women's Premier League in cricket has started and that sport is slowly becoming a profession choice. So what are the plans? The mindset of parents can be changed or by support, and how can we encourage the people, that parents, I mean?
Can you repeat the question again, please?
What are your plans to change the mindsets of parents and even teachers to encourage and support non-academic and non-traditional professional choices? I mean.
Okay.
The next is Prarthana.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. This is Pratna from Nepal. So my question is something related to what you said earlier about about mentality of people being changed and the changing issues that are going around in the world and in India. So as we all know, today's world is a very rapid changing world, and India and the world is changing in terms of not just technology but culture and social community. So as the changing community, there has been a significant rise in people being very confident about their sexuality, being very confident about their choices, and we have seen a new era where the LGBTQ plus community has become very confident in coming out to the society. But although youths are very much adapting to this change, we still have a gap in the older generations or in institutions where it hasn't been adapted very well. So, as the Minister of Information and Broadcasting, I'd want to know, like, do you have any plans or plans in action that you're looking forward to bridging this gap and making the whole uh, community more comfortable and a better place for people who are different yet very confident about themselves? Thank you.
So thank you for these questions. You rightly mentioned about the social media space, and I mentioned it during my speech also. Whether it is up to the user how they want to use it, whether to spread the misinformation or to create more awareness. Are we going to do good to the society, or are we going to do injustice to the society? You know, COVID-19 pandemic, as I mentioned earlier, is a great example how thousands and thousands of people lost their lives. At the same time, these kind of channels, platforms also creates a divide in the society, creates a divide between two friendly countries. From time to time, the government of India has taken action against those channels, platforms who spread misinformation, create divide, or a threat to the safety and security of our country. So that what we do. At the same time, there is a Press Information Bureau. They have started the fact check. So any news related to the government, you can go on the PIB fact check and they can check it and throw back to you that whether it is right or fake. So that what we are doing. But unfortunately, there are many such news which are not related to government, and knowingly or unknowingly, most of the people, they just forward it for the sake of forwarding it. My request to you will be, till the time you are not sure whether that is right or wrong, don't share such news which create the divide in the society or misinformation. There are many self-claimed fact-check such companies in India who are not authorized. So I think they also have agenda. I don't want to get into the political thing, but many have an agenda behind that, and we have seen that in the past also. Yasin talked about the short-term work visa, I believe, and I'm not aware as of now. I take that as a suggestion from you because you are seeking for that should be the option for students in India. For the higher education, on one hand, we can proudly say that after 34 years, the government of India has come out with a new education policy. It is well accepted by all sections of the society. And also government is focusing more on the skill part as well. If you look at this year's budget, a major focus is on training of millions of Indian youth in the future works skills, for example, 21st century skills like artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, coding, machine learning. So these will be the focus areas, and there will be 30 new Skill India international universities, or not university, but the centers opened up across the country. And there will be 3 Center of Excellence for Artificial Intelligence, and 47 lakh youth will be provided stipend by the government in the next 3 years. As far as the higher education is concerned, there is more focus on the quality education. Not only the number of universities should be, one after another should be opened. It's a large country with 1.4 billion population. And the number of students going for the higher education is also increasing with each passing day. Here is the deemed university which is working pan-India. I mean, you are growing because there is a quality of education here. But there are challenges with few universities. But many who are doing extremely well, like Symbiosis, is already, you could see it from the placements, campus placements to other students who are doing well. The Government of India, whether on the side of budget, there is no shortage of funds and the budget. If you look at the number of institutes as far as the NIT, IIT, IIM, the number of India took 70. They took about 70 years, for example, to have, I don't remember the exact number of IIT, but I can say that more than 70% we have added in the last 8 years. जो वो 60 साल में नहीं कर पाए, हमने वो 8 साल में करने का काम किया है. Higher education. As far as the medical colleges are concerned, I can say it was 387 medical colleges earlier. We have added more 250 medical colleges in the last 8 years. This year we have announced 157 nursing colleges in this year's budget. So the total number of medical colleges will be 590 plus this year. AIMS, there were only 7 AIMS. Today, in 2014, there were 7 AIMS. Today, there are 22 AIMS in the country. पहले लोग दिल्ली भागते थे, अब दिल्ली में जो एम्स के डॉक्टर हैं उनको देश के अलग अलग राज्यों में भेजने का काम भी किया जा रहा है. So not only the education but also the health care. Because here also Dr. Majumdar and Vidya ji, not only the university, they also run a medical college for women and a 900-bed hospital, free of cost for others also to have those services and benefits as well. So government is also doing their part as far as the higher education is concerned. Mental health, yes, that's a challenge and we are working on that. I have already spoken to Dr. Vidya and we are speaking to other stakeholders also. How with the Youth Affairs Department, we can work and also with the Education Department to have more awareness among the masses. There should be more people with a degree to help people under stress and really work in the area of mental health. As far as the sports is concerned, yes, in India, if you look few years back, there was a saying, पढ़ोगे लिखोगे बनोगे नवाब, खेलोगे कूदोगे तो हो जाओगे खराब, ये कहते थे. आज ये बदल गया है. पढ़ोगे लिखोगे तो बनोगे नवाब, खेलोगे कूदोगे तो बनोगे लाजवाब, होंगे लाजवाब. And we have seen, especially for the girl child, because there's a girl, I think from Turkmenistan, she asked this question. The mindset has changed, and especially when the Prime Minister himself is supporting sports. He wants India to be the sports superpower by holding events, creating infrastructure, having more facilities for the sports. The budget has increased in last 8 years, 3.3 times from 2014 to 2023 now. Not only that, we have Khelo India schemes, where like Khelo India Youth Games, University Games, and the Winter Games we organize every year, thousands of students participate. Especially for the girl child, what you said. I can just mention here, we have star players like Saina Nehwal, Sania Mirza, PV Sindhu, Mary Kom, Nikha Zareen, Tula Vlina. These are the women athletes Smriti Mandhana, Harmanpreet Kaur, to others who have done extremely well on the global platform in the field of sports. And there are many in the pipeline who will do well in the coming years. If you look at the record last year when we hosted the Khelo India Youth Games in Haryana, out of 12 national records broken, 11 were broken by the girl. And this year, when the Khelo India Youth Games were held in Madhya Pradesh, 25 national records are broken and 21 are broken by the girl athletes. And you mentioned rightly, I think during the beginning of your question, the voices are not very clear. I think you talked about the Women Premier League, which started in the field of cricket after Indian Premier League. I can just quote an example, what I did in my, I became Himachal Cricket President Vidyaji when I was 25 years old. And it was an uphill task, like Majumdar Sahab, jaise aapne pahad chuna tha. I was also, I liked a mountain where I wanted to build a stadium. But I was very young, I was just 25, 26. And my association didn't have even few lakh rupees. So to build an international level stadium, I took that as a challenge. And when people used to say he's a mad fellow of 25 years old, nothing happened in 50 years, what will he do? Which never happened in 50 years, I did that in 2 years. And if you happen to come to Himachal Pradesh, please visit Dharamshala. We have built that Dharamshala cricket stadium in 2 years span, and that has become the most picturesque stadium in the world today. What I wanted to add to that is when we had girls coming for trials about 12, 13 years back, because before that the women cricket was not with BCCI, it was an independent body. So when they merged it with BCCI, then we started looking at the women cricket. So the girl came for trials and few of them stayed back. 3 girls stayed back and said, we are not going back home, we're going to stay here and play cricket. And I was like shivering. I was literally shivering that 3 girls are staying back. Who's going to host them? There is no hostel, there is no facility. What will do? So with folded hands, I told them, you please go back. I'll call you after a few months and I'll start an academy. I started an academy and my entire association was, most of them were against me and like, you are spending at that time 70 lakh rupees per annum on women cricketers for an academy. What will you get out of this? Today I can say when the Women Premier League started, 4 Himachal women athletes are selected in the Women Premier League today. And the highest paid is Renuka Singh with 1.5 crore rupees from a remote village of Shimla. Another is Shushma Verma. She has become the DSP in Himachal Police and she played the World Cup for India. So I think in any field you see today, we have a Pro-Chancellor who is a woman, we have a Vice-Chancellor who is a woman, we have a Finance Minister who is a woman, we have a President of India, a woman from a tribal background, and Master of Ceremonies is also a woman. So I don't see any reason why women should be left behind. When we talk about gender equality, in one of my programs at Doordarshan, a lady said, sir, if we host a program, Purush Samman to aap aayenge? Because that was on a Women's Day, Nari Samman. They said, Purush Samman ka karenge, to honor male. Will you come? I was a little taken aback कि ये क्यों हो गया? तो वो दिन भी जल्दी आने वाला है मैडम. वो पुरुष दिवस भी हमें मनाना पड़ेगा मुझे लगता है. And when we talk about the LGTB, देखो, that is the awareness. That is the awareness and acceptability also in the society. You're right, few years back, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy because the mindset is such. And with the change of mindset, with the change of times, there is more acceptability in the society, in the system, in the state. So I think it's an evolving process, I believe. There are many things which we can't change, we have to accept. And if there is a court order also, and the society has also gone in that direction, I don't see any challenges in that way, even in India. और कोई क्वेश्चन था कि यही थे?
So the next question is Mr. Wali from Afghanistan. While Wali gets ready, I will call out a few names. I request the students to kindly remain standing so that it's easier for the volunteers to identify you all. Mishita Seth, Ithi Arun Kumar, Sachin J, Karthik Jhawar, and Hiya Udvani. If you all can please stand up and remain standing. Yes, Wali.
Thank you. I'm happy for the opportunity that has been given to international students through Symbiosis International University. Sir, I have a question that how does your respected ministry plan to ensure that media outlets provide balanced coverage of political events and avoid biased coverage or reporting, especially of international events? Thank you.
Wali, you have to speak again.
I'm sorry, sir. My question was that how your respected ministry is planning to ensure that media outlets in India to be balanced and provide a balanced coverage which is not biased, especially of international political affairs of other countries.
Mishita Seth, you have the mic.
Good afternoon, sir, and good afternoon, sir, and to all the dignitaries present here. My question is that, being the youth of today, even I have a vision in mind that I want to contribute towards sustainability. So, how do you think that the youth of the country can contribute towards economic growth and sustainability?
Yeah, please ask your questions.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Iti. Sir, in today's time, students undergo a lot of pressure due to increasing competition. This has affected, so how can we use sports for mental welfare and create an environment of healthy competition focusing on self-development of the youth?
Good afternoon, everyone. So my question is, according to you, what is the biggest challenges youth are facing in the country and what should the ministry do to address them?
Good afternoon, sir. I am Hiya Udvani and I am from SCMS. We all know that cricket is religiously followed in India, whereas other games are not given that much of importance. So what are the steps you as the sports minister are taking to develop other sports?
Can you repeat your question again, please?
Okay. We know that...
Are you trying to say cricket is the most popular game and...
I am saying cricket is religiously followed in India and other sports are not given that much of importance.
Which other game do you follow?
Sir, badminton. So what are the steps you as the sports minister are taking to develop that?
So let me go with the last question first. So I grew up playing cricket actually. My father was a professor and he wanted me to join army. I ran away from home to play cricket. So मुझे जब कोई ये कहता है क्रिकेट के अलावा बाकी खेलों का क्या? I think the time has changed. In cricket, we saw the champions in 1983 when Kapil Dev-led team won the World Cup for India. People started seeing hope in that. कि cricket में we can do well, we can become champions and all that. But slowly and gradually, if you look at wrestling, boxing, badminton, and other sports, shooting, we have started doing well. अब जेवलिन को एक तरफ से देखो तो लगता है कि किसी ने भाला हाथ में पकड़ रखा है, लेकिन सही मायने में तो 121 साल लग गए तब नीरज चोपड़ा आए और टोक्यो ओलंपिक्स में भारत को गोल्ड मेडल जिता कर लाए. But you are right, other sports also need a lot of importance. That is why I touched upon the Khelo India Youth Games, where a platform is provided for other sports to come and sportsperson to come and participate in those disciplines. There is a scheme like Target Olympic Podium Scheme, TOPS we call it, where the boarding, lodging, training, domestically or internationally, all the expenses are borne by the Government of India. And even the players are given out-of-pocket allowance, 50,000 rupees per month over and above the other cost. Apart than that, we have more than 3,000 students who are selected under the Khelo India Accredited Academy scheme, where their boarding, lodging, training is also covered, but they are given 1,20,000 rupees per annum as a out-of-pocket allowance. We run many 23 National Center of Excellence and few such site training centers across the country. We are opening 1,000 Khelo India centers. We have already sanctioned close to 790 Khelo India centers, and I promise we will complete 1,000 centers before 15th August 2023 this year. So these 1,000 centers will be focused on one game. One center, one game. Which, sir, you also mentioned about one class and something you said during that time. One class, one parent, one teacher. So, sorry. ये पूछना जरूरी होता है, सबने ध्यान से सुना नहीं सुना? Very good. So finally, we also found one who replied, "You are passed." So I was talking about sports, and these centers will be for ex-players who have played at the national level, and they will become the coaches and train the athlete in various parts of the country, and they'll be paid for their services every year. So as of now, we are opening a lot of centers across the country for other sports also. But let me tell you, for your knowledge, sports is a state subject. The primary responsibility is of the state governments. But the center, because Prime Minister takes a lot of interest in sports, so we are putting a lot of efforts into that. Yes, sports is equally important to stay mentally and physically fit, what you mentioned. For a person like me who works for 17, 18 hours every day, it becomes very, very important either to work on breathing. I think even you're sitting in your classroom, you can work on your... करता आप में से कोई योगा कि नहीं करता? Center for Yoga है. I think that 10 minutes can also get you back. I mean, your physical activity, whether playing badminton or running on a treadmill or on a playground. And I'm glad to see the campus where from one part to another you have to either walk or cycle. I think they keep you mentally and physically fit, Vidyaji. Biggest challenge youth faces? Who doesn't face a challenge? Is anyone out here who doesn't face any challenge? Everyone is facing a challenge. From the richest man on the earth, from the most powerful nation on the earth. All I can say is, परेशानियों से भागना बहुत आसान होता है. हर जिंदगी में एक मुश्किल इम्तिहान होता है. भागने वालों को कुछ नहीं मिलता जिंदगी में, लड़ने वालों के कदमों में ही जहां होता है. I've seen a change in the past few years where on one hand, the youth was always looking for jobs. Today, from job seekers, they have become the job givers, from startups to entrepreneurs. When we talk about the women, one of the questions was how economic growth and stability can come. I'll quote you a small example of Lijjat Papad, which started in one part of Maharashtra, not very far from here, where 7 women came together with a loan of, say, about 80 rupees, if I remember it clearly. I mean, 7 women came together. They formed this self-help group. Today, that group is of 45,000 women. They make 48 lakh papads every day, 4.8 million papads every day. And their annual turnover is 1,800 crore rupees today. Even they would not have imagined it that time. This Amul dairy to Banas dairy, I think, in Gujarat, to many such federations, cooperatives, they have come forward. Even the Mudra loan, when many raised questions about Prime Minister's announcement of opening bank accounts of the individuals, to providing collateral-free loan to the poor, many raised questions. But look today, after 8 years, where do we stand? We have 450 million bank accounts opened in 2 years span. We have 210 million debit cards available to those women. We have 340 million Mudra loans given. And out of that, 65% plus are the women who got those loans, and they have become entrepreneurs or self-employed, and they are contributing towards the economic growth of the country, and there is stability towards their family as well. So I think these small things is helping. In this year budget, there's an announcement made towards the self-help group, where 80 lakh self-help groups, that means more than 90 million women will be directly benefit out of that. They'll be given some technology, they'll be given training, they'll be linked with the market, with the online platforms, and their product with a better use of packaging and marketing, they can get a large market and more sales and more revenue for their self-help groups in the coming years. So I think in one way or the another, we can all contribute towards the growth. One of the example is just outside this hall. If you look at the product of those self-help groups, you pick any big name in the field of sarees, and you'd look at those sarees outside. They are equally good, the kind of work they have done. If you look at the copper work, to the coconut waste, that, what do you call it? Coconut shell waste. Look at the products they have made. Isn't that the economic growth or the economic contribution in our economy? Yes, there is. Waste to wealth. इस बार हम बात करें गोवर्धन की बात करें, 500 such Govardhan plants we're going to be put up across the country. Not only that, for the India is going to be the global hub for the green hydrogen. From waste to wealth, we have such beautiful examples in the country. So I think economic growth lies everywhere. We just need to look at the opportunities wherever they are available, and especially during the pandemic time, by bringing in reforms in this country. Prime Minister Modi has opened the door in the field of defense, space, coal, mining, and other areas. And we have seen where Indians used to contribute for others' program at NASA or in the Silicon Valley, by just bringing in reforms, within less than 12 months, an Indian satellite, a rocket, has been launched successfully, and we'll see many more such in the coming years. So हर क्षेत्र में हो सकता है, हमें केवल मीडिया आउटलेट, आई थिंक Somebody raised that question, is it? To check
Wali.
on the media outlets, I think somebody raised that question.
Mr. Wali.
From Afghanistan. अफगानिस्तान से तो मुझे एक ही बात याद आती है. Do you understand Hindi? क्योंकि we have a lot of Afghani brothers and sisters living in Delhi and other parts of the country. I still remember Afghanistan president came and he visited us few years back. And Prime Minister Modi called me and said, I was in BCCI then. They said, Afghanistan ki madad karni hai. You have to handhold, help them. And trust me, Afghanistan president was there, Prime Minister Modi was there, and Prime Minister from his heart wanted to help Afghanistan. We gave them a ground in Greater Noida. They trained here, they were provided coaches, and they worked very hard, the Afghanistan cricketers. We opened the doors for them in the IPL. They started playing in the international tournaments. We made sure that when new members, full members of ICC will be made, Afghanistan and Ireland, both of them, they become the full members. And our Afghanistani brothers and sisters were so happy. And look at their performance in the field of cricket. You have done extremely well in the field of cricket. That is all what we could do as a friend, as a friendly nation for our brothers and sisters. But as far as the media outlets are concerned, we have rules which most of the channels, newspapers, online papers, they all adhere to. And if they don't, there is a mechanism to look into that. We believe that media is the fourth pillar of our democracy and they have to play a very important role. Rather than the misinformation, they have the larger responsibility of dissemination of information, the government policies to the other things, to the each nook and corner of the country. As a public broadcaster, Prasar Bharati does that with the Doordarshan, All India Radio, and other platforms what we have. But for media, there are self-regulatory body, for example, Press Council of India for the print newspapers. And similarly for the television networks, for the linear channels, they have the News Broadcasters Digital Association and the News Broadcasters Federation, where they also appointed the retired judges who also sits on the board and look at the complaints against various channels and they look into those details. So here is more of freedom for the press to work in a democratic process, and I think they're working well.
So I think,
किसी का सवाल रह गया कोई?
no, I think you've answered all the questions. Thank you so much, sir. I now request Dr. Rajni Gupte, Vice Chancellor, Symbiosis International University, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Respected Dr. S.B. Muzumdar, the founder of Symbiosis and the Chancellor of the Symbiosis International University, our esteemed chief guests this morning, Shri Anurag Singh Thakurji, Honorable Minister for Youth Affairs and Sports and Information and Broadcasting, Government of India. The keynote address was presented by Dr. Sandeep Waslekar, President, Strategic Foresight Group. Dr. Vidya Yarodekar, the Pro-Chancellor of the Symbiosis International University, Mr. Anmol Sovit, Mr. Pankaj Jain, invited dignitaries, representatives of the G20 nations who are present here today, students from the various districts of Maharashtra who are present here today, representatives of the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Youth Secretariat, directors, deans, faculty members, staff, and students from the Symbiosis International University who are also present here today. It's indeed an honor to be here this morning and to thank all the dignitaries present here for their esteemed presence. We are delighted to host the Y20 consultation, and I thank the Ministry of Youth Affairs for giving us this responsibility. This is an event that we have been looking forward to, and I'm glad that it's got off to a wonderful start. This morning we had two of the deliberations on climate action and education reforms. Brilliant speakers and excellent sessions. We, of course, will now have further sessions on gender-related conflict, legal reforms, Vikas politics, and the future of work, Industry 4.0, innovation, and 21st century skills. I'm sure you're going to enjoy the day as much as we are looking forward to it. Mr. Vaslikar, thank you so much, sir, for being here this morning. You spoke of how Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam alone can resolve world conflict and how education can play a very critical role in this endeavor. You also spoke about reform of multilateral organizations, and I do hope that your wish for a Parliament of Humanity at the UN does come true. Shri Anurag Thakurji, thank you so much for being here for this event. I thank you for highlighting the transformation that India has gone through in the last 8 years, and specifically your mention of transforming from a fragile 5 to the top 5. Also, you emphasized how there has been a large change in healthcare, in use of renewables, and how India has outperformed other nations in all these. You focused on India's focus on dialogue, diplomacy, and discussion, and peacekeeping efforts. I'm sure that the question that you posed at the end will remain food for thought for all of us. Let me also thank the representatives of the 44 countries who are present here. This is an opportunity for discussions and debate. So I urge you all to listen, to think, and deliberate on the issues that are so very critical to all of us. I am sure that the action plans that will emerge from these deliberations will reach the Y20 Summit and will influence global policies. Thank you, everyone, for being here this morning and for making this event a great success. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. May I now request you all to rise for the national anthem.
गणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे